What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and this is what you all have been waiting for, my mock draft for the 2022 NBA Draft. Before we get started, I just want to say we are going to be doing two mock drafts. This is the first of two. This first one is just going to be me trying to guess what the GMs of all 30 picks are thinking in the first round. And then tomorrow, the day of the draft, I'll be dropping my What Would Pee Wee Do mock draft, where I would tell y'all my picks if I was the GM for each team. But without further ado, with the first overall pick of the Orlando Magic, from all of the intel, quote unquote intel, it's hard to figure out what's smoke and what's real and what's fake and but from everything that I've kind of heard, it seems like the Orlando Magic are going to be favoring Jabari Smith Jr. out of Auburn University, a guy that I like. I'm a fan of Jabari. A lot of you may know I am a guy who, at the preseason of the college basketball year, predicted that Jabari would have a jump into the top three consistents, and he would argue or push the conversation between him, Paolo, and Chet. I have a tweet out there. If you don't believe me, the facts is there. I got a video where it was there. Jabari Smith was kind of a guy that was talked about a lot, but I felt was underrated because he wasn't in the conversation with Chet or Paolo going into the year. And I said it in a video, and boom, it took off. And that's one of my best predictions in college basketball since Trae Young jumping into, the top whatever during that class. Number two, the Thunder. The Thunder are a team I like in the draft because they already did one thing that I predicted they would do, which is trade the 30th pick, because they all have an abundance of picks, and I think they're at a spot where they have to figure out how to put these prospects in the best situation and at the NBA level to fully develop. And they have so much young talent now. I feel like it's kind of getting log jammed. So to see them move one of those picks was something that I liked. They still have 2 and 12, and I think there is some value at both of those picks, and they're in a position to be able to move up with the additional future picks and assets that they have. So they're a team that I'm watching for to make a draft day move. But at number 2, I think they take Chet Holmgren. You look at the theme they've been going with as far as size, futuristic, versatile, non-position basketball with a 6'8" point guard and Giddey, 6'6" Shea, Darius Bazley, Pokashevsky, all of these guys that can just play all over the place, and I think they continue to add to that core with Chet Holmgren, who was projected to be some type of unicorn power forward, maybe center, who's going to be able to rim protect, make some knockdown shots from the perimeter, be able to attack closeouts and ball handle and make proper reads and passes. And if you put it all together, he should be able to be a star in this league. And if you look at the current roster that they have, you add him with Shea, Giddey, Trey Mann, Lou Dort, like I said, Pokashevsky, Darius Bazley. There's a lot of talent there. They just need some front court talent that they lacked over the past few years. But hopefully Chet can be the final piece to bring everything together and start seeing them work their way back into competitive basketball that we got accustomed to seeing during the Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden era. Next, we have the Houston Rockets, a team that I think and feel like won last year's draft when they had Jalen Green, Şengün, Josh Christopher, Ousmane Garaba. I like their draft, and I think they're in a position this year with 3, 17, and 26 to have the same type of draft, especially if they can take 17 and 26 and move up any higher. But at number 3, it's a no doubter, Paolo Banchero. I personally think he's the best player in this draft. For me, he should go a lot higher. So the fact that they're getting him at 3 is really mind-blowing. He is so talented that's why it's hard for me to believe anything that I'm hearing as far as intel and whatnot, because I don't think that a talent like him or Chet or Jabari is that like that sure. I believe that the Magic are going to use every single minute that they have to fully secure and select their pick. I can't believe that 3 weeks before the draft, the Magic know that they're taking Jabari Smith. Like, put yourself in their shoes and you had these 3 prospects. You're telling me that 3 or 4, a month, 2 weeks before the draft, you know for sure out of these three guys who you're taking, there's no flip-flop back and forth. Nobody in the front office is saying Paolo should be number one. Nobody's saying Jabari should be number one or Chet should be number one. There has to be some conversations that are still going on, because Paolo at 3, who has been the consensus top player of this class, it's kind of, I don't know. I just feel like it's not a steal, because we know the top 3 was going to be one of these guys or all of these guys in one different order. But for them to be able to get Paolo at 3, to me, feels like a steal, with Şengün in that front court, Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Jae'Sean Tate, Josh Christopher. They got the other pick at 17, 26, Ousmane Dieng. They have it. And I think this is a guy that is going to be a for sure all-star in this league. The only question is, will he peak higher than that? Is he going to be an MVP player, all-NBA player? But I can guarantee, damn near guarantee, that he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to be a guy who's going to be a top scorer, 23, 25-point type scorer, 7, 8 rebounds. Good defense as long as he's engaged on a defensive team. But for the first couple years, he's probably going to have some defensive lapses. Look at the culture and the team he's on, very young. But as they continue to grow, develop, and add some veteran presence and some defensive guys around him, I think the more engaged you'll be able to keep him. But Paolo Banchero at 3, fire for the Rockets. At number 4, probably the most, I don't want to say problematic, but just the most, hard to predict situation, which is Sacramento Kings. Obviously, I'm doing a mock draft. I would predict that they would trade this pick in some form or fashion, whether it's with the Hawks and John Collins we've been hearing. My Knicks have been involved, the Pacers. Some form or fashion, I would say that they trade this pick, but because this is a mock, I'm not doing any of the trades or anything. I'm going to select Keegan Murray out of Iowa for the Sacramento Kings. And the reason I'm going that direction is because of everything that we've gotten from Jaden Ivey and his team. And even the Sacramento Kings, it's two ways to the story. Jaden Ivey, from everything we've heard from him directly in his camp, they don't really want to go to the Kings. And I don't think that they're wrong for that. And everything, the Kings have shown in the past with trading Halliburton, unsure of the fit in the backcourt with De'Aaron Fox, it wouldn't make me feel like the Kings should draft Jaden Ivey again. It sounds like the same thing, as though Jaden Ivey and Tyrese Halliburton are two different players and play two different ways. If you had any concerns about De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton in the backcourt, I think the same questions would come up with Jaden Ivey, especially if you want him to be able to reach his fullest potential. I think Keegan Murray is a guy who's going to be a little bit quieter. His game isn't as flashy or as exciting as Jaden Ivey, but I still think he's going to be a very high IQ, winning, skillful, versatile player, which is something the Sacramento Kings have lacked for a while. That versatility, which is why I think Harrison Barnes has been a staple for them. A guy that can play 3 and 4 and guard multiple positions and space the floor and work with De'Aaron Fox. Keegan Murray is cut from the same cloth, except he's younger. He has more upside, and he's just what they need. To have that with Harrison Barnes, a vet, and to have Harrison Barnes be his vet will go a long way. This is why I wanted them to get Franz Wagner last year in the draft. Obviously, Orlando took him before they can get the chance. But, Davion Mitchell is a straight point guard. Halliburton has some versatility. They traded it. De'Aaron Fox is just like a straight cut point guard. They need versatility, especially on the wing and in the front court. And I think that starts with taking Keegan Murray at number 4 if you decide to keep the pick. At number 5, what that means is, if Jaden Ivey is going to fall because the Kings are keeping their pick and they're not going to take him because of everything he's saying, that means that the Pistons take Jaden Ivey in a heartbeat. You don't pass up on a talent that falls in your lap like this. Everything that I said about the Kings fit is the opposite for the Pistons. Cade Cunningham was a lot bigger than De'Aaron Fox and Jaden Ivey. Put him in the backcourt with Ivey. He can guard a few positions, so Ivey doesn't have to be exposed or undersized with matchups defensively. I think they're a defensive team led by a defensive-minded coach in Dwayne Casey. So there you're going to have good habits being instilled for Jaden Ivey from the beginning. And Cade Cunningham is so dynamic. He can play, he's the point guard, but he also can play on the wing, off the ball, post up. That allows Jaden Ivey to be able to play a few different ways and don't have to be stationary off the ball like he would be with De'Aaron Fox. And then that backcourt is just super exciting, super versatile, and there's just so many different intricacies you can run with the dual guard backcourt as dynamic as Cade and Jaden Ivey. And then you have Saddiq Bey around, you have Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Stewart, you still have Killian Hayes as a guy that can come off the bench and be a six man. There's a lot that could go on with Pistons if they take Jaden Ivey. So I got them taking him at 5. No brainer there. Number 6, the Indiana Pacers, the team who Jaden Ivey would probably love to go to because this is where he's from. He played in Purdue. His mom played for the Indiana Fever, if I'm not mistaken. This is home for him, but they just miss out. So they have to take the next best thing, which I think for them is Benedict Mathurin. I think when you talk about Benedict Mathurin, this is a guy who has a high ceiling and also a high floor. And when you look at them having Tyrese Halliburton, this is a guy that can come in and coexist with him in the backcourt very, very well. You speak of versatility. I think he's going to be able to guard all 3 positions at the next level. His off-ball production, beautiful. And then being able to get out in transition and play with a guy and a willing passer like Tyrese Halliburton. I think that can be a very dynamic, young, and fun backcourt in the NBA. And I think that's what the Pacers really need. They need a spark, some excitement. They got that with Halliburton. Build on that with Benedict Mathurin. They have some high-flying centers, whatever they can get for Brogdon and Miles Turner. This could be a rebuild that slowly but surely and quickly starts to turn around and get real exciting for Indiana. And that backcourt has a lot of size, a lot of defensive capabilities. They can switch. They're going to be able to shoot the ball, play off each other. I like Indiana taking Benedict Mathurin. Reminds me somewhat of a version of Victor Oladipo. And I saw the excitement Victor Oladipo helped put into Indiana, and Benedict Mathurin hopefully will be able to rejuvenate that for them in his career. Next pick, we have the Trailblazers, kind of similar to the Sacramento Kings because it's a team that feels like a trade could really happen. We've seen them be linked to the Pistons for Jeremy Grant. We've seen them be linked to the Hawks for John Collins. They've expressed that they want an NBA-ready player to come and play with Dame so that they don't have to have a full-blown rebuild. They already have Anthony Simons, Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, Greg Brown. They have a bunch of youth there on their roster already. They don't want to have to go the slow route of developing a Shaedon Sharpe or a Dyson Daniels or AJ Griffin. But if they were to pick, and if they were to trade the 7th overall pick and all these selections have happened, my guess would be Shaedon Sharpe will be selected by the Portland Trail Blazers or whatever team that trades with them because a lot of people are buying into his upside. I know he's been a mystery man, but according to workouts and people that's been at the workouts, he's playing very, very well. The Portland Trail Blazers specifically is a team he worked out for, and the response was very well from Damian Lillard. So that's very intriguing. If they keep it, I wouldn't be mad at it. You know, bringing back Anthony Simons and having Shaedon Sharpe. If you change your mind and want to pivot and do trade Dame and make him available, you do have an Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe backcourt, which should be very fun and exciting. And if you can get some young assets in a return for Dame and some young established players, you can have a rebuild quickly going and brewing very fast in Portland. I think that would be a good start of it. So I got Shaedon Sharpe at 7. I really, really like his game. Number 8 is a team that I think is in a position where they can't have a wrong pick. As far as need, there's not much need. They have a full starting lineup with CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jonas Valanciunas. Off the bench, you got Larry Nance, Trey Murphy III. You have Kira Lewis, Jose Alvarado. You still have Devontae Graham. You have so much there. So much to the point where I feel like I'm forgetting somebody even after naming all of those people. I got the roster right in front of me. I named pretty much everybody that's a part of the rotation. So you have all of those guys. Jackson Hayes is who I forgot. You have every position with like a starter and a backup. So at that point, they can go a bunch of different directions. They could take AJ Griffin, who's another wing, which you never have too many of in this league. He also can play without the basketball, space the floor for Zion, Ingram, and different things like that. It's his strongest suit. You also have Dyson Daniels, who I'm very intrigued with. You have Jeremy Sochan, who could do a bunch of different things. I am going to go with Dyson Daniels from the G League Ignite. The reason I'm going with Dyson Daniels is as I think he can defend, which is what they love, or Herb Jones. So if you have Herb Jones and Dyson Daniels at the floor at the same time, you have two point of attack defenders who can switch between each other and just give you a bunch of defensive versatility. And I think he's going to thrive as a secondary playmaker behind CJ McCollum, behind Brandon Ingram, behind Zion Williamson, and he could play a Lonzo Ball type role for them. And I think there's upside with his shooting, his driving ability, his floaters, his athleticism. He's going to be able to run in transition as the playmaker or as a finisher, and then defensively, he's going to do a lot of good things on that team, and he just gives you another dynamic player to put on the floor and play winning basketball along with the Herb Jones, Trey Murphys, Jose Alvarados. He's another one of those guys that's going to come in and have good habits as a young player on a winning team, and it just gives you another body to do positive things on the basketball floor. So Dyson Daniels at number 8. Number 9, the San Antonio Spurs, another team that just feels like they can go in a lot of different directions. Obviously, the backcourt or the point guard position with DeJounte Murray is a position that they're probably going to stay away from. He's solidified there. The shooting guard position, because we do have Johnny Davis up here, is intriguing because Johnny Davis is very good. He plays Spurs type of basketball, mid-range defender. But you have Lonnie Walker. You invested a lottery pick last year in Josh Primo. You have Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. I know those guys can play 3, can play 4, but that guard wing position is just kind of so many people. Romeo Langford, there's just a bunch of bodies that they have there that I personally will look to the front court with either Jalen Duren or Ousmane Dieng. And me personally, I'm going to give them Jalen Duren. It just feels like a Popovich type pick where he's going to get a guy who can protect the rim, defend, be the back line of their defense, and it helps give them depth in a spot that they didn't really have. It was just Jacopoto and a bunch of guys who they were given chances and opportunities to, but it didn't feel like anything real was there. And we've heard Jacopoto be in all type of trade rumors. You can now make him expandable. And I think Jalen Duren playing with a DeJounte Murray playmaking guard will allow his value to skyrocket, because we didn't see that in Memphis. He didn't have a distributor as good as DeJounte Murray, and I like this pick for them. Stay away from the backcourt players, if you're San Antonio, as far as, the young guards, because they have so many, unless Lonnie Walker or somebody I don't know is not coming back. But for right now, Jalen Duren to me is the right pick for them. Now on the clock is the Washington Wizards. Same type of position for the Spurs, except their backcourt spot is wide open at point guard. I don't think Ish Smith is on a current contract. He's a free agent. I think Raul Neto is a free agent. So they really have a vacant point guard position. The only thing is, this point guard class isn't stacked. So at the 10 position, you're at the 10 pick, you're not getting the full value of what you would want in a player. You look at the board right here, we're not going to see a point guard until TyTy Washington, which is, they have him 18th on their big board. Kennedy Chandler is 19th. Neither one of these guys, I think, is a 10th overall pick. So because of that, I'm going to give them somebody who's going to complement Bradley Beal, but could also complement somebody post Bradley Beal, and that's AJ Griffin. He's a wing who's going to be able to shoot and score the basketball. He's going to be able to play shooting guard. He can play small forward. I think the front court players they have are going to take up the void of there. I think they have Kristaps, Daniel Gafford, Thomas Bryant, and then at the 4, you have Kyle Kuzma, Rui Hachimura, Isaiah Todd, and at the 3, you have Denny, and then Caldwell Pope is a free agent. Now you can add AJ Griffin there, and he's going to be able to mix in and play with those guys, and you'll have to find your point guard in free agency or in the later parts of the draft. But I think AJ Griffin is a guy that can complement Bradley Beal if he's going to stay, and he can also be a plus offensive player depending on what you bring back, because he's going to complement somebody with his shooting. Defensively is where he's going to have to pick it up. I think Wes Unseld Jr. is a good defensive coach who can probably fix some things and some habits to get the best out of him defensively. Up next is my beloved New York Knicks. And with the 11th overall pick, we have the easy decision. I don't want to say easy because I like Malachi Branham. I think Ousmane Dieng is a very good player. But I think Johnny Davis feels like a Thibodeau and a New York Knicks type of player. He's going to come in and defend. He's going to give us some buckets. And we got to hope that that three-point shot improves. I think it will. I don't think he's going to have the same workload as he did in Wisconsin as far as offensive responsibility. And I think him and RJ can really coexist on the wing and complement each other. And then defensively, all of the upside is there for us as a defensive unit with him and RJ on our wings as wing defenders. So Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin, beautiful pick for my Knicks. We leave the draft extremely happy with that guy on our roster. Oklahoma City Thunder, I talked about it. Chet, Pokusevski, Darius Bazley, Josh Giddey, Shea, all of the sides around. They don't stop with Chet. They add Ousmane Dieng from the New Zealand Breakers. My gosh, another guy who is 6'10", who can play 3, 4, he can play make. All of the upside is there. Another long body on this roster, and they continue to add to the futuristic, positionless basketball team that they're playing, and they're developing. I love this pick for them. Very, very futuristic. You're talking about a lineup that could potentially be Giddey, Shea, Ousmane, Pokusevski, and Chet. Beautiful. Beautiful. Next pick, though, the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets are interesting because they're picking at 13 and 15. We all know that they need a big. For them, though, I don't think they go big till the pick 15 because they know the team after them, the Cavs, aren't going to take any of the bigs because the Cavs have all of the bigs in the world. So at this point, I am going to give them something that, and I'm not even I don't even have, I'm doing everything in the moment. I'm taking Mark Williams at 15, right? He's going to be the best center available. Feels like a match made in heaven. We know the Cavaliers aren't taking Mark Williams based off the roster and everything that they have. Because of the Miles Bridges situation, though I think they're going to keep him and that they've shown that they want to keep him and clear up money to keep him. You know what? I was going to give him Tari Eason, but I'm going to give him Ochai Agbaji out of Kansas, a guy that's going to be able to come in, play right away. He's going to be able to shoot the basketball and defend. And that's, I think, really what they should want and be looking for at the shooting guard position. Someone who can play without the basketball to complement LaMelo and or Terry Rozier. And I think he does it at the 2 or the 3. And he's going to be a guy that's ready to play from day one. And I like this pick a lot for them. They need more veterans. They have a very youthful team. And I know he's not an NBA veteran, but coming out of college, being around pros at Kansas and things like that, he's going to be able to come in and have a sense of urgency and produce at a more professional level. He's built habits and grown, as a 22-year-old. He's going to be able to come in, and it's not going to be the same type of things you have to deal with youthful 18 teenage guys that they've got accustomed to drafting. So Ochai Agbaji for them at 14, match made in heaven. Malachi Branham already out of Ohio State. He doesn't leave. He goes right down to Cleveland. He reminds me of Caris LeVert. They already have Caris LeVert on the roster, except he's on the last year of his deal, and he has 20-something million on his contract. They'll probably let him go, if not trade him at the deadline, and Malachi Branham becomes his replacement, who can put the ball on the floor, shoot from outside, and complement Darius Garland in that backcourt as a starter or off the bench option, depending on what happens with Colin Sexton. So I like Malachi Branham a lot. If Johnny Davis isn't on the board at 11 for us, the Knicks, I wouldn't mind walking out of the draft with Malachi Branham as a New York Knicks. Now with the 15 overall pick, the Hornets are back up after taking Ochai Agbaji with the 13th pick out of Kansas. And like I said before, no-brainer here. We take Mark Williams out of Duke. They need a big. He fits well. He's going to be a backline defender, lob threat for LaMelo. Match made in heaven, no-brainer there. 16th overall. Again, team link with the Kings. Don't know if they're going to stay here. But if they do, I would not mind. The top 2 guys that we have available, Jeremy Sochan and Tari Eason, I think are 2 guys, who I think could fit in with the Hawks very well. The Hawks need a lot of different things. They need somebody who could alleviate pressure with Trae Young in the backcourt. Don't know if that guy is here. You're probably not taking TyTy. You're probably not taking Kennedy Chandler, EJ Liddell. I am going to go. Man, this is tough. I'm going to give them. Man, I'm kind of stuck. It's between Jalen Williams. I'm going to give them Jalen Williams. I'm going to give them Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara. Feels like a Atlanta Hawk type pick. He does what I said, alleviate some pressure off of Trae Young, and they need somebody in that backcourt with him who can score confidently, and hopefully he can grow and develop into that for the Atlanta Hawks. I like Jalen Williams a lot, a guy whose stock rose up, especially from the combine, competitor. 3-level scoring, passing. He does a lot of positive things on the basketball floor. And if you compare him with Trae Young and allow him to be confident, he'd be a very good selection for them at 16. Back on the clock is the Houston Rockets at 17. Because they already took Paolo, because they have Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., Şengün, there's a small forward position, wing type position that's a little bit open. And I'm going to fill that void with Tari Eason out of LSU. Somebody who I think is going to be very good defensively. Grown man body. Is going to be able to come in and play physical and give them some defensive presence, which I think they're going to need with Jalen Green, Paolo, Kevin Porter Jr., Şengün. Somebody's going to have to defend something. Jae'Sean Tate can defend. Tari Eason is going to be able to defend, but Tari Eason is also going to be able to run up and down with them and play fast and get out on a break for lobs and dunks and things like that. And I think they have an exciting young core if they're able to walk out the draft with Paolo and Tari Eason at 17 with one more pick still left at 26. 18, we have the Chicago Bulls. This is something I told Kenny. It probably wasn't going to happen because this guy probably would be off the board. My mock still has him here. Don't know what it's going to look like in real life. But Jeremy Sochan, if he's still available, as much as I love EJ Liddell for the Chicago Bulls, you have to go with Jeremy Sochan. Another guy like Patrick Williams who's going to be able to guard a bunch of positions, maybe play some small ball 5. And you just love him. He's going to be exactly what a Bull fan base is going to love. Almost not like Joakim Noah. He's unique in his own ways, but I can see some similarities there between the two, and a fan base who's loved Joakim and Noah will love Jeremy Sochan, even though he's a little bit smaller, but he plays big as well and defends and passes, all that type of good shit. Dyes his hair like Dennis Rodman. The Bulls will love Jeremy Sochan. Got him at 18. At 19, with the Minnesota Timberwolves, I am going to go a different direction than what the board is telling me. I don't think they go TyTy. I don't think they go Kennedy Chandler. Even with EJ Liddell, I like EJ Liddell there. But I'm not even going to go to, for me, it's between Dalen Terry and Jaden Hardy. Don't know what the future for D'Angelo Russell looks like. I know they love Ant. I know Karl-Anthony Towns. Those are the two building blocks. That wing, small forward position guard. I'm going to give him Dalen Terry. I think Dalen Terry out of Arizona is a guy who can come in and do a bunch of different things. He has no position right now. Some people say he's a point guard. I see some people arguing that he's not a point guard. But he's going to be able to defend. He's going to play on the ball, off the ball. His jump shot definitely is the thing that's going to have to improve for him to hit his fullest potential. But with Anthony Edwards, with Jared Vanderbilt, with Karl-Anthony Towns, even if you keep D'Angelo Russell, Dalen Terry can fit. And he's going to do a lot of different things and be very versatile for them. But he gives them size. They have D'Lo, who's like 6'4", 6'5". Anthony Edwards is like 6'4", is like 6'5". Patrick Beverly is small. They've had lineups where D'Lo, Beverly, and Ant are playing. They don't have the size on the wing. He's going to be able to do that while still having some playmaking transition ability there. I like Dalen Terry out of Arizona for the Timberwolves. At number 20, the Spurs are back on the clock. Again, don't see them going a guard route with TyTy or Kennedy Chandler. You still have EJ Liddell, Jaden Hardy, MarJon Beauchamp. I think they go Nikola Jovic from Mega Mozart. Right there, 6'10" player that plays with some point guard abilities. We know how the international players come over and play with the San Antonio Spurs. They have all the experience in the world with that. I think he would be a good fit. Somebody that can play the 3 and the 4 after selecting Jalen Duren. Those are the positions that they need. More front court versatility, have an abundance of guards and wings. This guy can do you wing, 4, whatever, with guard-like skills that open up the offense and give them some more flexibility. And I like Nikola Jovic there at 20 for them. At 21, it's tough. It's very tough. It's a lot of different directions they can go. But I think the Nuggets go EJ Liddell. Something different. You know, they've taken a lot of guys like Bones Highland in the past. MPJ was a late pick for them. Bol. They like guys who have all of the potential and the upside, but I think they'll go EJ Liddell. He brings them something that they've been looking for on the older market over the past few years. When they got Paul Millsap, then Paul Millsap left. They got Jeff Green. Jeff Green is older and could possibly leave. I think you come and get an older version of those two guys, damn near like them combined, in EJ Liddell. He can play some small ball 5, defensive guy off the bench, He can play the 4. He can knock down some shots and coexist on offense with Jokic. I like EJ Liddell for them. Not the sexiest, loud pick, but I feel like they've done that so much. I can't give them Jaden Hardy when they have Bones Highland and Monte Morris and Jamal Murray coming back with Will Bart. They need somebody that's going to be productive and do something positive on the defensive end of the basketball court, and I think that's EJ Liddell with the number 21 pick. On the clock for the Grizzlies. Now I think the Grizzlies take Jaden Hardy because he's the best player available. The Grizzlies continue to get rich and rich with talent. They were able to get Desmond Bane late. Brandon Clark was later than I projected him to be when they took him. This is another one of those things where it's like, how the hell did they get Jaden Hardy? I'm a guy that thinks that Jaden Hardy should be picked way before 22. But from everything that I'm seeing, teams, I don't know. Teams aren't that high. I think this is a guy that we look back and kind of like Jordan Poole. Like, how the hell did we let him fall back? He has the NBA scoring ability, open court space, and he's going to thrive. And I got Jaden Hardy going there. He's just the best player available. At 23, Philadelphia. TyTy Washington is there, but they have Tyrese Maxey, who TyTy Washington would love to replicate at the NBA level. Don't think they go him or Kennedy Chandler. MarJon Beauchamp is definitely interesting considering the fact that Danny Green with his injury and the wing help that they need because Matisse Thybulle don't know how much of a solid future he has with the Philadelphia 76ers. You also have Blake Wesley. They have a bunch of different options. Bryce McGowens. I am going to give them MarJon Beauchamp just for wing depth. I don't feel like they have enough wing depth. And I think this guy has some extreme upside with his defensive ability, the way he can get out in transition. And I think he's going to be a lot more of a polished scorer than Matisse Thybulle. How he grows with the scoring, playing next to Harden and Joel, is going to be interesting. He's going to have to definitely get those catch and shoot reps up. But there's some stuff to build with MarJon, and I think they take him with a 23rd overall pick. 24th pick on the clock for the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, another team that doesn't have too many holes. There's not too many things that they can add on. But considering the fact that this is a team that needs shooting around Giannis, always wants size and defense and versatility, I'm going to give them Christian Braun from Kansas just because he's going to fit. I think he can do some things that some of the guys on their roster can do, except with bigger size and potentially a little bit more better. I think they keep it simple and basic and take Christian Braun just because he fits exactly what they're trying to do, which is put guys around Giannis who can catch and shoot the basketball while defending. Back on the clock at 26, we have the San Antonio Spurs. They took Jalen Duren. They took Nikola Jovic. At this spot in the draft, there's, again, what direction? I'm going to give them Max Christie out of Michigan State. And the reason I'm going to give them Max Christie is because why not? He can shoot. He can defend. He's going to be able to play off the ball. He has upside. When you have 3 picks, it's very rare that they're going to keep all 3 picks. But they took the front court players. He's one of the better players with upside on a draft board. I'm going to give them Max Christie. We have the Houston Rockets back on the clock, and this is where they take TyTy Washington. You got a power forward, another wing player, Tari Eason, Paolo Banchero. Now you top it off with a point guard who can come in and play with Jalen Green, play with Kevin Porter Jr. in the backcourt. This solidifies their draft with another good pick, and they're winners on the night again. Kennedy Chandler, and the Miami Heat on the clock. Kennedy Chandler, I like the fit there, coming up under Kyle Lowry. Gabe Vincent, don't know how secure Gabe Vincent is in Miami, so I'm gonna just give them Kennedy Chandler out of Tennessee, on the ball defender who can play, make some shots. I know his size is kind of worrisome for some guys, but I don't think the Miami Heat care. They want winners and guys who compete. Now on the clock, I'll give the Golden State Warriors Walker Kessler, another big in the front court who has some size. Don't know how much I'm buying into the shooting, but it's some stuff that's there. The rim protection, why not add another big? They've struggled with size all playoff run, even though they were the champions. We give them more size with Walker Kessler out of Auburn. Now on the clock with the 29th pick, I am giving the Grizzlies, after giving them Jaden Hardy, I give them Bryce McGowens out of Nebraska. A guy that I think would fit the culture, extreme size, offensive upside is out of this world. no-brainer for me if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm taking home Jaden Hardy and Bryce McGowens with the 22 and 29th pick. Hell of a night for them. He's going to fit. And with the last pick of the first round, I'm going to have the Denver Nuggets, after selecting EJ Liddell with the 21st pick. They're going to take Wendell Moore. A guy that, again, just comes in and play winning, positive basketball. I'm going to have them take him over Blake Wesley, just because of what Blake Wesley has shown me. I don't know if he's going to be able to come in and fit with the Nuggets with all of the shot creators and guys that they have around. Wendell Moore is going to be able to defend, make the right plays, and knock down some shots. Perfect draft for the Denver Nuggets. That's my first round mock for y'all. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not here to say I have the most accurate mock draft. We can see the recap in front of us. But I do think there's some things here that will transpire, and we'll be able to look back and say, hey, that was right. I do believe a lot of this is going to be wrong just because of the trades and the activity that looks to be happening on draft night. I hope we get a bunch of it. It's feel like 3 drafts in a row. We was talking about all these moves that could happen. The last 2 drafts, no moves really happened. This is the draft, though. I think the Kings make a move. The Knicks are going to try to be a part of that move. The Hawks may be a part of that move. There's going to be some shuffling and moving around. A lot of teams with multiple picks that I don't see keeping all of their picks, especially teams like Spurs with 3. The Grizzlies with 2. A lot of competitive teams that have a lot of bodies already on their roster have multiple picks, so we will see some activity going on draft night. Tomorrow, you're going to get my next mock draft, which is what would Pee Wee do? Don't have to guess what any GMs are going to do. Don't have to guess about being right or wrong. It's literally what I think each team should do at the draft. That's going to be a banger. Make sure y'all got the notifications on. Make sure you leave a like and a comment about what you agree with, what you disagree with, who you like, who you don't like. And make sure you tune in tomorrow for What Will Pee Wee Do mock draft edition. Till next time, I'll see y'all. I'm out. Peace.